Hi, Pisces. Welcome to your March 2021 Astro Update. It's Rena here. So, of course, I had to do Pisces as one of the first signs. And obviously, this is because the sun is in your sign for a good portion of the month, almost 3 weeks to be exact. So, another thing that is important to note is that a lot of you are having your solar returns, your birthdays in March, but happy birthday to those born in February as well, because I'm recording this before the sun is going into Pisces, a few days before that. So, this is your time to really feel like a sense of rebirth and to also uh, reflect on what you would like to bring into your reality in the next solar cycle. And this is a great month for forward movement. I think this is something that all of us, as a collective, will be experiencing because Mercury comes out of its shadow on the same day as the new moon in your sign. Sometimes I see these connections and I wonder if they are, um, indicative of something from a higher level. And all the plants will be direct. So it's like green light city. And even while Mercury is still coming up to the strength that it was at before it retrograded, even then it will still be direct. And so everything is moving forward. And that is the kind of, if you want to call it symbolism or actual influence from the universe, that can assist you in launching projects, for instance, or starting new endeavors, maybe a new health regimen, maybe, or, including exercise, or maybe you want to study something or start your own business. There's no telling what some of you have planned or what you're dreaming about. So on the 3rd, Mars goes into Gemini, a fellow mutable sign, and in your case, Gemini is your 4th house of home and family. So Mars has been in your 3rd house in the sign of Taurus up until the 3rd. And that is, in terms of family members, that can be siblings, it can be aunts and uncles and cousins. And so there might be something of a conflict that has been occurring. It doesn't have to be, though. It's not that Mars is always going to be combative energy. I'm just bringing that up because Mars is going into the 4th house. So I'm seeing that progression from the 3rd to the 4th and wondering if it's family related. And so clashing, people's ideals or ideas not being in alignment for whatever reason, maybe a battle of wills or a battle of a will if it has to do with family money, for instance. But if it doesn't have anything to do with that, you may just be more active with these people in your life than you normally are. Mars in the 4th house can be something connected to a construction project on your home. So another thing about Mars in the 3rd house is it can be your neighbors. So if there's any kind of construction work that you need to do on your home and your neighbors are not happy about it, or there is some kind of conflict, this may be showing up in this transit. Mars in the 4th house can also be like, if I'm thinking in terms of any kind of ambition that you have in the area of nurturing, and so in some kind of a field that connects with childcare, for instance, or even like with Mars, I think of athletics. So the fifth house is children, but the fourth house can be that nurturing. So even like with education, something along those lines. Even in the third house, education, elementary school education. So I would say with Mars in the fourth house, it's going to probably be some construction work on a home or something along those lines. On the 13th, we have a new moon at 23 degrees of Pisces. So the vast majority of you are going to experience this in your first house of the self. For those few of you born 24 to 29 degrees, sun or rising in Pisces, this is your 12th house. So, you can look to the new moon in Aries, which is happening on April 11th for more of your actual new moon in the first house. So the point being that when we look at the chart itself, I mean, for instance, if you're listening to this for your rising sign, which you would well be advised to do because this goes along with the natal chart. But of course, this is just a general reading, so that's the why it's not set in stone that it will fall in the houses that I'm mentioning. But if let's say your rising sign is 26 degrees of Pisces, well, 23 degrees of Pisces doesn't make the cut. So that is your 12th house. And this is based on the unequal house system, which I happen to use, the Placidus system. So it's going to be in the 12th house, and that is unfinished business. The first house is a new cycle. So then you're going to look to that one. For the rest of you in the first house, this is a time to really think about, be intentional about your dreams and your goals for the next year. On the 15th, we have Mercury going into Pisces, so it's in your sign, and this is in alignment with your sun, or you're in the first house for your rising sign. And this can be this idea of you communicating who you are to others. You might say, well, what's the point of that? Well, the point of that is if you are looking for a job and you are being interviewed, they often will ask you about yourself for the purpose of getting to know what makes you tick to see if you'd be a good fit. It's hard to really sometimes convey who you are unless you really have a spiel down that you know how you're going to market yourself. It's almost like, yeah, selling yourself to a potential employer. And even in, romantic dalliances, if you've met somebody, obviously you're getting to know one another, and you want to really convey what you're all about, because there's no sense in two people getting together if they're not being genuine, and if they're trying to be something that they're not. That doesn't make any sense. So these kinds of things you can do for the purpose of trying to explain yourself so that other people can decide whether or not they want to work with you, whether it's working to form a relationship or working to in a job setting. So that's actually a good thing, in other words. On the 20th, the sun goes into Aries, the astrological new year. In your particular chart, Pisces, this is your second house of earned income. So for Pisces people, this can be a really great time to attract money. Not necessarily the only time, but this is definitely a power period for you every year when the sun goes into this house. And you can look forward to other transits in this house, in the near future. And the second house is also the house of self-worth. So that can be a time when the sun is there, when you feel more confident, more appreciative of who you are. On the 21st, Venus goes into Aries. Venus is the ruler of the second house, so that is very good. Venus going into its own house, very good to attract money. Venus is the attractor. On the 28th, we have a full moon at 8 degrees of Libra. So, Libra in your chart is the 8th house. However, again, because of the fact that it's an early degree of Libra, this is going to mean that for many of you, from 9 degrees to 29 degrees of Pisces, this may actually fall in your 7th house of committed partnership. A full moon is a time of awareness. It's a time of psychic activity, which means that those two things combined can mean that something that was hidden comes into the open. Secrets can be revealed. There can be some kind of heightened effect. The full moon is pregnant. It's coming to fruition. Something is coming to fruition or to a head if it's more of a challenging situation. So it won't be the same for everyone, and it can be quite different. I don't know. Sometimes I repeat myself, so I apologize. I don't know if I said this to Pisces, but I was like kind of amused at somebody who sent me, who wrote to me on YouTube and said, because I was talking about the full moon in the 6th house, and said, you just said that either, we're going to get a promotion or we're going to get fired. And I'm like, yeah, because, this doesn't mean that you're going to get fired if it's, affecting your work life. It can have different effects depending on your personal situation. There's not one interpretation for every single person, and not every single person it has the same situation in life. Some of you are retired. Some of you are, you've never held a job, a serious job before. It's not either or. But it can have some radically different interpretations. Bringing something to fruition can be awesome if somebody has been doing a great job, working hard, and they are in a place that's compatible with their growth within a company. But what if you are in an environment which is toxic? There's a possibility that coworkers have been gossiping or plotting against you. I know this is going to make somebody paranoid. I'm saying in a very toxic environment, those things tend to happen. I don't think that's very unusual for people to be very undermining of others. And in that, there might be a secret that comes out regarding that. But for somebody else, it might be that they get a promotion because they're in a very harmonious situation. So it's not going to be one size fits all. And if you're an early degree Sun or Rising Pisces, and this falls in your 7th house, I'm sorry, your 8th house. If you are between 0 and 8 degrees of Pisces, and this falls in your 8th house, then the narrative that I gave about a will may really be on point, and there might be something going on that you discover behind the scenes, or that comes to light about maybe a family member trying to deceive and get the money, all the money. So that might be what is the fighting about within the family. And same with the fourth house, with the mother or the father. I mean, I would just say the parents, the family of origin. It could be something, related to that. The eighth house is also just the house of the shadow. So you may learn more about yourself as it pertains to a particular issue where you were acting in a certain way. It could be something personal to that, or just in general, some kind of a spiritual download that gives you that guidance. For others, this is going to fall in the seventh house. For those of you 9 to 29 degrees, and this can be that crisis point of the relationship. It may be a situation where you get engaged or get married. I mean, it can really be totally different, almost like polar opposites, because you're all in different places. The full moon simply means that the moon is becoming, pregnant with possibility. And sometimes there's a crisis point. It means that it can't go any further because it says far gone. So whatever that situation is, if two people are in a committed relationship, which is what the seventh house represents, they may feel like, okay, now it is time to commit to this relationship legally or in a commitment ceremony if you don't want to get legally married. But one or both of the parties may be feeling that there is this need for the status of, we are married, we are bonded in this way, in a public symbolism. And that might be true for some people. Maybe for some people it's time to break up, it's time for a divorce. The seventh house can also be legal affairs, so there might be something that is wrapping up of a legal nature. So it's very interesting how these things can happen. So that's what I have for you, Pisces. I hope that you enjoyed this. If you would like me to look at your chart for natal interpretation, and I also have a combo with the transits for 2021, as well as other types of readings. I have some specials, combination readings. Please check me out. The link is below. Take care. Bye.